tuned in to The Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
Welcome back to Yahoo Finance Live. Coronavirus cases are continuing to spike in India, potentially in part due to the rise of a so-called double variant that's already the dominant strain in at least one state there. The variant dubbed B.1.617 includes mutations present in both the strain found in California and South Africa, but more data might be needed to show how that variant is playing a role in India's case count rise. In the meantime, back here at home, podcast host Joe Rogan sparked some controversy for his take that he wouldn't recommend that younger, healthier Americans get their vaccine shots. Dr. Fauci was quick to come out against that take. And for more on all things coronavirus here, I want to bring on a doctor who's much more qualified to speak about these things. Dr. Peter Hotez is co-director at the Center for Vaccine Development at Texas Children's Hospital and dean at the National School of Tropical Medicine at Baylor College of Medicine. He joins us now alongside Yahoo Finance's Anjali Kamlani. And doctor, just want to start on the India variant here because the fear has always been, with more cases, you're going to see more variants and more chances for that variant to be potentially more deadly. But what's the difference with the one we're seeing right now in India?
Well, I think, first of all, it's really important to point out that the B.1.1.7 variant from the UK that originally rose in the United Kingdom and the one that's now dominant in many parts of the United States may be still the dominant one in India. And that alone could be causing a lot of the problems. There's no question there is this Maharashtra variant, not only in Maharashtra state where Mumbai is, but elsewhere in India. How much of the rise, the surge in cases is due to B.1.1.7 versus this other unique variant is unclear. The B.1.1.7 variant is often called a single variant because looking at the part of the spike protein called the receptor binding domain that interacts with the host receptor, there's an amino acid substitution there in the B.1.1.7. The reason they call it a double mutant like South Africa or Brazil or this one in India is because there's not only one, but there's two in the receptor binding domain. The truth is there are many more mutations than those two, but that's often colloquially is referred to a double mutant, which has different, slightly different amino acid substitutions from the South Africa or the Brazilian variant.
Dr. Hotez, knowing all of this that is going on right now, and we're watching these concerning spikes, I know that travel hasn't really been an issue just yet, but should there be some restrictions on travel or really just stopping travel altogether from India?
You know, I've never really seen travel bans really make much of an impact. You know, a lot was made about the travel bans from China at the beginning of the United States epidemic. And in fact, while the emphasis was on China, as the virus came in from Southern Europe and caused that devastating outbreak in New York. So I feel more often than not they can be counterproductive. So one would have to be really strategic about how you use a travel ban, since it could be very isolating and may make public health control even more problematic. It also takes time and energy to enforce travel bans, and it's not as straightforward and simple. So I would say I'm not close to it entirely. I just don't think that's, from my point of view, that's not the biggest priority right now.
Meanwhile, we know that the U.S. has been providing aid, the first plane with all of that to land today. And a bunch of the stuff on that plane is stuff that India had asked for, like oxygen supplies and PPE. But one thing in particular struck me, and that was the equipment that has been diverted, supposedly from the U.S.'s ability to produce the AstraZeneca vaccine into India, claiming that it could make 20 million doses. Your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are, I think it's fine. I think it's certainly helpful, but it's, you know, the reality is it's a drop in the bucket. I mean, if you look at India's population of over 1 billion people, likely you have to immunize 800 to 900 million people to interrupt virus transmission, oftentimes with 2 doses for most of the vaccines. So you're talking upwards of 2 billion doses of vaccines. So 20 million, it's a nice gesture, but I think we need to do a better job helping India. India is arguably the world's largest producer of vaccines through Serum Institute of India, Biological E, Bharat, and there's a few others. We need to ask those producers what they need to make all of the vaccine for India, that all the materials that they need. And one more, because the whole equity plan from the COVAX sharing facility depended heavily on India supplying vaccines for the world. So not only for India, but for Africa and elsewhere in low and middle income countries all over the world. So I think it has to be all hands on deck, and giving the Indian vaccine producers, give them whatever they need.
Well, on that point, you do have the vaccine that you're working on with BioE, and that has also garnered some attention from the U.S. It's now in phase 3 trials. When do you anticipate that it can be out there and on the market and be used and authorized? And is it going to be quick enough to help bring down this current surge?
Well, it's a good question. If all the stars align, the hope would be that, and the phase 3 studies look promising, that India it could be released potentially to the Indian people on an emergency use basis by later in the summer. So that's roughly the time frame we're looking at, and then a global plan by later in the summer into the fall. So I know everybody wants that vaccine to get out as soon as possible, and we're working 24/7 to make that happen.
And Doctor, bringing the conversation back to the U.S., it almost feels like the first 50% of the population getting vaccinated was the easy part. Now you've got those who are a lot more skeptical about the effects of the vaccine and the safety of it. And yet today we heard from New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio saying he plans to go to 100%. opening up the economy by July. Are you comfortable with that decision? In timing wise, is that the right call?
It may be the right call, but we really have to see how we proceed with vaccination. Remember, we have the way to look at this is as follows. We have to remember that 20% of the U.S. population is not eligible to get vaccinated by virtue of the fact they're under the age of 12, and we don't have the safety or efficacy data for that. So that, cuts off the top 20%. And that means to interrupt virus transmission, we easily have to get over 70%. So that basically means just about every adult and adolescent, and we have a ways to go. So it may be possible to fully open New York by July 1, but I don't know that yet. So rather than be prescriptive and say we're doing this on July 1, I would have waited a bit and really find documented evidence that we're really seeing steep declines in transmission as we get above 50, 60%, which we might. And then maybe we could do that. I think projecting out to July 1 is still premature.
Well, Doctor, we'd love to get you back on the show as we get closer to that date to get a better sense of how you view where the pandemic stands right now. Dr. Peter Hotez, co-director of the Center for Vaccine Development at Texas Children's Hospital and also National School of Tropical Medicine at Baylor College of Medicine, Dean. And our thanks to Anjali Kamlani as well.
Good morning, folks. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday. TGIF. How are you guys doing? What is going on? So I thought it's been a minute that we've not received an update from around the world in terms of exactly what's happening with vaccine deployment. So why not take that opportunity today and kind of review where we're at. So to be quite honest, there is quite a bit that is still happening in the world of COVID-19. I know that we feel a little bit isolated from it because, we have, I think, just lived in a bubble for almost an entire year now after our restrictions were lifted. And so it makes life feel like does COVID-19 really exists? And the only time that you sort of think about it, is when you have to travel or you have to do something that reminds you that the entire world continues to deal with COVID-19 and people are still wearing masks, sort of all over the place. In fact, I was watching a little bit of TV last night, and it occurred to me that a lot of these TV shows, I think I was watching Food Network, a lot of these TV shows now have elements of them where you can see that they were obviously recorded during the pandemic because people are social distancing during the recordings. They're wearing their mask. The show must go on, as they say, but they are still very much taking necessary precautions that even here in Cayman, by and large, we don't really have to do. And it's just so amazing when you can walk around the town, go to the grocery store and those sorts of things and not see anyone wearing a mask. Even that mentally has an impact on you. Listen, it wasn't that long ago that we were all in lockdown, folks. I mean, March of last year, we went into lockdown and that was it, right? Totally crazy. And I remember even my daughter, she was confused by the mask. She was a little bit scared at first about why everyone was wearing a mask. And it wasn't until she got back to school, they started to talk to them a little bit more about COVID. But as a group of 4-year-olds, they could kind of understand what COVID, not really what it was, but a little bit of what it was. And, it's been a little minute now that she hasn't mentioned COVID, but I think we've all gotten a bit relaxed. So Ali wants to know, can Cayman do a travel ban from India? I guess on the one hand, we have the same protocols in place. Why is my island upside down? We have the same protocols in place for everyone who's entering in terms of the quarantine requirements. So the government may say that there's no necessity to have a travel ban to any particular country because we have such strict entry requirements. But yeah, we'll see how that works. These mutations, I don't hear the local government addressing them. So some of the questions that I have is our ability to test for the variants and the double mutations and all this sort of stuff that we're hearing about, because I think it would certainly give the general public some comfort to know that we are able to test for those things. Speaking of testing, I had someone not too long ago reach out regarding the fact that they had, let me just see, that they had actually been told by the HSA they're planning to come in to Cayman in June, I believe it was, and they were actually informed that essentially HSA was no longer doing any testing, and they were doing it at private facilities, and that the private facilities would be charging. And so this person said, does the general population now know that there will be a charge for this? So this is something that we are waiting to confirm if that's true. So they said that they tried to book the HSA COVID test for July. This was booked, but today I received an email saying that from the 3rd of May, the HSA COVID testing clinic is closing. And I got directed to either Doctor's Hospital or Health City. Doctor's Hospital booking site doesn't work properly, and Health City charged $110 for the test. This is outrageous. The test appears to no longer be free. So I had not even heard that the clinic was closing, to be quite frank. So that was news to me. And this was sent to us on, I think, Monday or Tuesday. Tuesday, the 27th. And so I'm reaching out to the HSA to inquire if that is indeed the case, because people need to know, what the protocols will be for testing once they enter. Now, I'm assuming that at the airport, they are still testing. So I don't know, when this person says they're coming in and they had booked a test with HSA, does that mean now that before people leave quarantine, that it's not the HSA that is going to the quarantine facility, but it's Health City? I'm a little bit confused, to be honest. I will send their, let me just see who their media person is. I will send their media person just an email asking for this to be clarified, because I'm not entirely certain of what is going on here. So that's Monique Spence that I need to reach out to. So we will do that. Monique Spence, COVID testing question. Yeah, so we'll do that today. I'll let you guys know by Monday, once we get a response, exactly what that means for persons traveling into the Cayman Islands. So lots of people are still coming and going, film crews are here, actors are here, and others. And so we will continue to keep an eye on all of those things. Quarantine breaches, I guess, are occasionally happening as well, which we do need to keep an eye on. So good morning to everyone. Good morning, Irvlyn, Marshall, Elizabeth, Siobhan, Morna, Anne-Marie, Catherine is here, Leroy is here. Leroy say he's ready. Olivia, Tyrone, thank you so much for joining us. Corrine says she's drinking her orange passion fruit and jasmine green tea. Sounds nice. Carmelie's here. Felicia, Louie, Andy, Ali, Beulah. Miss Bonnie, of course. Miss Morna is here. Larry from New York. Thank you so much. Morna says we need to keep our borders closed until further notice. This COVID virus is not going anywhere. Well, what is interesting is the fact that half of the U.S., a little bit over half of the U.S. population, has now been vaccinated. And we saw in the news yesterday that the cruise lines are gearing up to start hitting the high seas during the summer months. And I thought that this was a bit interesting in light of the fact that I don't know if they've had a discussion with us, but that's exactly how the cruise lines operate. So they'll jump up and be like, oh yes, we're coming. And then just expect us to fling open our doors with no real consultation. They still think that despite everything that has happened with COVID, and I mean to tell you, when I say everything, I mean the dismal way in which they handled their business and that directly impacted the spread of the coronavirus. They did that. They lied to employees. They lied to customers. They did the most. And so it's quite sad and unfortunate that they put money and profits above people and principle and anything else, it seems like, for that matter. So I found it interesting that they are talking about returning to the high seas, but not only are they talking about returning to the high seas, they're actually talking about, oh yeah, we haven't forgotten about that port and we're still undecided on how we're going to proceed. Well, as far as I know, that port was a tripartite agreement, meaning that the Cayman Islands government actually had to agree to it. And if we are not interested in agreeing to it, then how is it that they get to tell us what they want to do? You know, it seems like there should be a dialogue there at the very minimum. And clearly that hasn't happened. So that's unfortunate that it hasn't happened. But, I think by now we recognize that the cruise ship industry operates by very, very different rules. So new reported cases by day in the US, obviously they continue to have positive infections. On April the 28th, they had 43,079 persons hospitalized. They had 950 deaths, which is down over 14-day time of just slightly 7%. And they had 54,520 cases, which the 14-day change for that is down 26%. So hopefully that downward trend of new cases and deaths, and even hospitalizations are down by 2%, will continue, because obviously that's why people want to get vaccinated, right? So, the thing that's going on in India that is very, very interesting is that, unfortunately, their system is failing them. It's incredibly sad. And my heart breaks for the people of India, but their vaccination system is failing. And it's so strange, because early on, there was some discussion about them potentially being like one of the states, or when I say a state, I mean a country, to really watch, because they had been doing things that, despite their large population, obviously India has, I think, one of the world's largest populations by country, they had been doing a lot of positive things that people were looking towards as, oh, well, this is what we can then do. We can follow suit in terms of how India is handling the coronavirus pandemic. And now they've just completely lost control of everything. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Their vaccination program has faltered. They, hospitals are just inundated. In fact, I think it was earlier this week or maybe late last week, there were a number of people who died in a hospital because there was an oxygen leak in one of the facilities. And I forgot how many people it was, but it was a good number of people that died as a result of this oxygen leak. And so, their facilities or hospitals are just really under a lot of pressure. So what does that mean for us? I mean, obviously, like I said, I don't know that we necessarily need to close our borders, but I think what will happen is we certainly need to continue to keep an eye on the situation as it progresses. We do have a lot of Indian nationals here. I don't know exactly how many, but obviously they come in a lot as chefs. Do you know we have a lot of Indian chefs? Like, there's a lot of restaurants. It's so incredibly interesting, but there are a lot of restaurants, like there'll be like an Italian restaurant, but the person that's actually working in the kitchen is is an Indian chef. They just know, you know, different cuisines. It's like Chef Remy. He's from Goa, which is an island off the coast of India. And, you know, they've been trained in different culinary techniques. So we also obviously have a lot of them that are involved in the medical field as well. So I imagine that some persons may have left and are unable to come back because of the COVID situation that's raging in India as well. So we'll keep an eye on the situation, folks. I know that we had discussed it briefly, I think on Monday of this week or one day last week, but someone did say to me, hey, Sandy, I haven't heard you really talk about the situation in India. We had discussed it, but I think maybe it was missed. So we'll continue to keep an eye on the entire world. I mean, Brazil is popping off with cases. Brazil also has a significant issue with the handling of the coronavirus as well. So yeah, those are the difficulties of what's happening around the world. So this idea of New York City, for example, fully reopening in July, I think what that medical professional just said is it's a little bit premature for politicians to be saying that. And this is where, you know, you have to be so careful. We think, because politicians will say anything, we think that they are the ones who are running the show, right? When in fact, it's the medical professionals that they need to be listening to, and they don't always listen very well is the problem. So, you know, when we were here and everyone was giving our government kudos for how they've handled the pandemic, I kept saying to everyone, listen, yes, our government has handled the pandemic well, but that's because they simply listened and followed instructions from the medical professionals. Now, following instructions shouldn't be that difficult if you are really paying attention. And that should be the driving force for any political decisions that you make. And so when a politician jumps up and says, oh, well, we're going to reopen in July, and the medical professions are like, pump the brakes on that idea, because we don't know that yet. We don't know if it's going to be possible to fully reopen in July. But, you know, I think ultimately they are looking for political points, right? So the voters can think, oh, wow, they're doing such a great job. When in fact, they're not doing a great job, and they just need to listen a little bit more. So the cruise lines have said that people will be able to cruise on their ships in the very near future during the summer months if they're up to 95% vaccinated per ship. And someone said, well, why 95%? Why is that like the golden number? If you're going to get that high, why not just, allow it to be 100%? Like if you've not been vaccinated, then you can't get on this cruise and you can't take a tour. I think that honestly, that's a fair point. To me, you should have 100% vaccination requirement. The thing that always concerns me, of course, is when you start talking about vaccinations, especially with our American counterparts, you have a situation where a lot of individuals, and we know this for a fact because they were even doing it with the COVID testing, are minded to falsify documents. And this is very, very dangerous, right? So that is why in Honduras, for example, we're only accepting COVID results from a particular facility, because those are government-run facilities. You believe that they are a little bit less prone to being open to, inaccuracies as well as potential fraud, because despite what we think, this is a real thing. And during COVID, I don't know if you guys remember, but there were actually people who were going to the Bahamas with fake certificates. They were just making it up. And of course, if the people that are checking at the airport don't know how to check for a real certificate and what markers they need to be looking for, they may easily accept a fake certificate. And that's a very dangerous thing. So I really hope that these so-called cruise lines have the necessary protocols in place, that if they say that 95 or 100% of the people on this cruise have actually been vaccinated, that they have done the relevant due diligence to ensure that that is actually the case, as opposed to, oh, we don't know, maybe, maybe not. And then, you know, you have outbreaks and pockets of outbreaks because of the cruise ships cruising again. The most dangerous means of traveling, folks, with any illness is definitely a cruise ship. They are incubators for any like little petri dish for any sort of respiratory illnesses, colds, viruses, gastrointestinal issues. Like when they break out on a cruise, on a boat, whew, it's hard to contain because everything is so condensed. It's like you're in a little mini city with so many people, thousands of persons, and it's hard to even disinfect that type of environment. So Joy says that Health City advises free PCR tests at Camana Bay on Facebook today. Is that just today, or is that their policy going forward? I think that was the question that this person had, is that they would be charging in July for the test. So we'll try to get some clarification. Maybe we'll reach out to Health City as well and see what the situation is there. Carol says quarantine breaches are happening, but nobody's prosecuted. Listen, remember the young man who breached quarantine twice? We know that he has now been charged. Was he charged or just arrested? But there was at least one step in the prosecution arena, and we have not heard anything further. So I myself, I'm like, whatever happened to those cases? Inquiring minds want to know. We all want to know. Where are we at prosecuting those? Obviously, it was very, very quick to, you know, the prosecution, the DPP's office was very, very quick to prosecute certain people like Skylar. And that was right. And they should be quick to prosecute everybody else. So I'm not quite sure what the delay is and what the holdup is. Carla says people need to start encouraging others to get vaccinated. When we're at 70 to 80% of the population, the topic of reopening the border should be addressed. Keep in mind that vaccination for children still isn't something that's possible. So it depends on what portion of your population children make up. And the difficulty with children, thank you so much, Mr. Hero. The difficulty with children, of course, is the fact that they tend to be vectors of the virus. In other words, they carry it and spread it very, very easily. And a lot of times they are asymptomatic. So you won't know that they're sick. They will not show any indications of having the virus, but they become highly contagious. And I know that during the whole COVID lockdown and coming out of that, we provided you guys with a lot of information that they were learning about the virus as they were going along. And one of the most interesting things is that not only are children, largely asymptomatic, but they also tend to be extremely contagious. So the viral load that they will carry is higher than sometimes 5-6 times higher than an adult. And given how difficult it is for children to help themselves and really maintain proper hygiene, when they're in schools, they're like touching everything and they're sharing. And it's a lot harder for a child, especially the younger they are, to remain as isolated, respecting social distancing rules, doing proper mask wearing and following all of the proper protocols without running into some trouble. So that presents a very different situation because they're not eligible for vaccination. So you have to really think about that segment of the population and what exactly that means for us and for our ability to try to, move forward in a meaningful way coming out of lockdown. And someone has just commented that we can't remain in lockdown forever. I think everyone accepts that as the true position. And yes, that's exactly exactly what it is. You can't remain in lockdown forever, and there will be consequences, financial consequences, and otherwise of people trying to do that. So let me just see here. All right, folks. So yeah, so thank you so much for that information. Let me just send this to our regional writer. So quite interestingly enough, I'm going to update you guys here in a second with some boxing information, because there's been a couple new developments in that arena. So yesterday, thank you, Emma. Emma says that's a lot of us that's hurting. It's not easy for some doing well, but those in hospitality industry, it's very hard. God bless and keep us all safe. Yeah, and it certainly reminds us of how incredibly volatile certain industries are. Like that's, I mean, obviously the virus has been huge around the entire world, but a single virus is able to bring the cruise ship industry and by large, the entire tourism industry, because airlines and stuff are impacted as well, to its knees, you know? And so we recognize how volatile and fragile tourism can be. So Darlene says Indian went crazy with all the celebrations and political events. So sad. So of course that has definitely been one of the things that is a contributing factor. Even in Israel the other day, they just had some religious celebration. I don't know which one it was, but as a result of that, they had some kind of stampede. Let me just see what religious celebration this was. So the death toll as of this morning, it has now risen to 44 persons dead at a religious gathering, making it one of the worst civilian disasters in that country's history. So by some estimates, 100,000 people were crammed together to celebrate a holiday on Mount Meron in northern Israel, and the deadly crush began around 1 a.m. on Friday as celebrants began to pour out of the section of a compound where festivities were being held. So this is very, very unfortunate. But again, you think to yourself, why on earth during a COVID pandemic would 100,000 people be gathered anywhere in close quarters? To us, it sounds crazy, but in countries that have a population of millions, obviously to them, it was just like, you know, we're going to celebrate regardless of the COVID pandemic. And so this is the result. At least 44 people have been killed, according to their health ministry, making it one of the worst civilian disasters in Israeli history. The National Ambulance Service said that it had treated 150 injured people, and it posted a video on Twitter that showed a fleet of ambulances, red sirens waiting to evacuate the wounded. I mean, sometimes in Cayman, we really live in a bubble, and there are things that just we don't even hear, kind of goes over our head. We're just so oblivious to what happens in the world. And this is why I'm like, folks, read news, not just what happens in Cayman. Read international news, regional news. When we first started covering regional news in CMR, I was so shocked at people who were like, oh, well, why are you covering that? This is Cayman Mall Road. And I'm like, yes, it is Cayman Mall Road. That point is certainly not lost on us, but we don't live in a bubble. We don't live by ourselves, folks. And to me, it's just so small-minded for people to think that just because the name is Cayman Mall Road, Cayman Compass, whatever, that the only news you should read is local news directly about the Cayman Islands. There is so much in the world that happens that impacts us. And all of you should be concerned about those things. You know, the world is so small, but yet in some respects, we are entirely isolated and we just forget what else is happening. But it's a stark reminder, I think, of how people are so connected. Now look at this, folks. This is crazy. These are the bodies that are lined up at this. Had like a little makeshift recovery area. And this is what those poor people in Israel are dealing with. I mean, this is horrible. You know, I don't know if the death toll will continue to rise, but this is what they were dealing with in the early morning hours of today, which is Friday. Shocking and unbelievable all at the same time. So indeed, you know, we are fortunate and we are blessed that we don't have to directly deal with these types of situations often. But I think we appreciate life a little bit more if we understand the situation around the world and what's actually happening. So Quincy is here this morning. Good morning, Quincy. He's saying that he misses Moses. I'm sure Moses misses being tourism minister as well, but he'll be fine enjoying the backbench. We will be keeping an eye on the backbench situation. Melinda seems to be going back and forth with Steve-O. So when more people died crossing the street yesterday, okay, then what? Than COVID? I don't think more people died crossing the street worldwide than COVID. So, you know, this is what it is. Thank you so much, Celine. It's probably easier if you WhatsApp me because I'll probably forget that in 5 minutes. So Quincy's talking about the Charles situation. We're going to talk about that here in a second. So good morning. Good morning, Melinda. So no vaccine stops us from getting any virus. Well, there's no vaccine for chickenpox, so that's why you got chickenpox. So let's be very, very careful about how we feel and think about vaccines, folks, because vaccines have saved millions of lives. And I know that we've been over this before, and it really bothers me when people think that vaccines don't make a difference. That's because we have grown up in an era where we haven't had polio. Like none of you that are in my age group that are making these comments have ever had to see a family member with a debilitating illness such as polio or all these other diseases that vaccines have by and large wiped out and made irrelevant in the past 50 to 75 years. So because you don't know anything about it and you've never experienced it, you think the vaccines are a joke. You easily buy into this anti-vaxxer movement. And it's unfortunate because, you know, I have never seen someone with polio. I've seen photos, obviously, but not a person in real life. But I actually had a family member who had their elderly aunt was a polio survivor. And she was also a special needs person as well. And she was a polio survivor. And when they talked about how the difficulties the family had with dealing with that, and she was eventually put in like a lifelong institutional facility, you know, it's easy for us to dismiss things like vaccinations because we haven't had to deal with them. But I can assure you that there are many, many vaccines that have saved lives around the world, and vaccine research and development is something that is extremely important. So we know that vaccines save lives historically, not just polio, but many other things. There is no vaccine for something like the chickenpox. And I think, you know, the chickenpox is just one of those things that you get it. And it's not, the chickenpox is not normally life-threatening, whereas some other viruses can be extremely life-threatening. So Sue is talking about the Turks and Caicos restrictions and work permits. We'll talk about that here in a second. Steve-O says, get your vaccination. You have nothing to worry about. Well, it's not quite as simple as that, but I do support the idea of people getting their vaccinations. Not that you won't have anything to worry about, but you definitely put yourself in a better position. So over 20 million people, children in particular, remain unvaccinated around the world. This is just general vaccinations, and under-vaccinated. And of course, vaccines save millions of lives every single year, upwards of 3 million lives each year. And if you think 3 million lives is something to sneeze at. Trust me, it isn't. We could go into the whole vaccine debate, but I think most of you can look up that information for yourselves. And, you know, if you ever go to the vaccination clinic here in the Cayman Islands and you look at the wall, they have a lot of information there that talks about how vaccines have been deployed in most developed countries and how it has really made surviving your childhood something that is doable. Smallpox, child and infant mortality, everything, you know, trying to eradicate diseases around the world. So again, you don't know anything about smallpox. You've never seen it before. You've never had to deal with it because of vaccines. So let's just read out a long list of diseases that have been largely made irrelevant in many places in the world because of vaccines, right? Measles, pertussis, I don't even know what that is. Diphtheria, I've heard of. Rubella, smallpox, polio, mumps, SARS, Ebola, and influenza. So folks, some vaccines are obviously the efficacy and how well they work and all of these different diseases varies. So measles, I think, is one that is largely under control. Smallpox, I don't even know the last time anyone has heard about smallpox, but vaccines work. And so don't discard vaccines because of your lack of information or your lack of knowledge about how they work. So we see, for example, there is actually a vaccination innovation chart from 1880 to 2020 showing how vaccines have been extremely important with, you know, different things: malaria, tuberculosis, typhoid fever, meningitis, whooping cough, dengue fever, and all these other things. Obviously, COVID is only the latest thing that we're having to deal with. We even know now that cervical cancer comes from a particular virus that can be largely protected or eradicated by getting the vaccine. I'll think of the name here in a second. But vaccine preventable diseases in the US, here's a little chart. I'm going to show you some of this because, again, don't speak on these issues, folks, if you simply don't know. Educate yourself. The information is readily available, but some people would rather just throw things out in the public sphere without having done their research. And that's a very dangerous position to take. So let us just have a look at vaccine preventable diseases in the US as a point of discussion. So here we are. I'm just trying to take this comment off the screen so you guys can see it. So Albert, thank you so much. So vaccine preventable diseases. And what we see here is information on the reduction rate of these. So diphtheria, 100% reduction rate, 100% reduction in the number of deaths, right? Measles is at 99%, 0.99% reduction, 100% preventable deaths. Mumps is at 97.4%. Pertussis is at 96.6%. Acute polio, what the heck is this? Poliomyelitis, I don't even know what that is. So you see a lot of these things we don't even know because thankfully we've not had to, I guess it's a form of polio. And it seems like there's the paralytic form and then there's acute form. I don't even know what the difference is. 100% preventable because of vaccines. Rubella, congenital rubella syndrome, smallpox, tetanus. Is that how that's even pronounced? Tetanus? Is that tetanus? Yes. Tetanus, yeah. Yeah, we know about getting a tetanus shot, right? Because sometimes you have to do that if you have been bitten by something, and a tetanus shot is something you have to get, like if you get a certain cut or whatever, you have to get every so often. So they're not, I don't think you get like lifelong protection or inoculation from that. But the percentage is still at 96.6%. Hepatitis A, acute hepatitis B is further down this chart. Influenza type B, pneumonoca disease, 40.5%, and varicella is at 87.2%. So again, if you don't believe that vaccines work and vaccines save lives, folks, do your research. Ask yourself, when was the last time you saw a case of measles, or when was the last time the Cayman Islands had a case of measles? And there's a reason why we haven't. It's not just a fluke. Education is key. Yesterday, I had the privilege of visiting with the Cayman Islands Breast Cancer Foundation. And I'm so pleased to say that during the course of 2021, one of my bucket list items and goals for CMR is to really bring a lot of information to the public about NPOs, nonprofit organizations, and the wonderful work that they do here in the Cayman Islands, because there are a lot of nonprofits that makes people's lives so much easier, especially during very difficult times of illness and desperation. So I had a good meeting with the ladies in the office there yesterday, and it was just amazing. And at times I was actually, I stand corrected. Thank you so much, Doc. There is a vaccine for chickenpox, and I'm reminded that chickenpox can actually be very dangerous. Are most people vaccinated for chickenpox? Because I don't remember getting a vaccine. I mean, I got chickenpox, but thank you for the link. So the CDC chickenpox is obviously very contagious. I remember when I got it and they were like, oh, in school, don't come to school. Like when you saw that first indication that you had chickenpox, they're like, stay home, don't touch anybody, don't touch anything. And my first little rash actually started on the tip of my nose. I still have I don't know if you can really see it, but I feel it as an indent mark. Like I literally still have the scar on my nose from that chickenpox. So thank you for this information. I didn't know that we had a vaccine for chickenpox. Is this something new, or has this been around for a while? So 4 million cases of chickenpox each year. This is in the US, about 10,600 hospitalizations and 100 to 150 deaths. So apparently there is a 2-dose vaccine for chickenpox that's a 90% effective at preventing chickenpox. And yeah, well, there you go. I don't know is that part of the mandatory vaccine program? Because to be honest, I didn't even know. Maybe we need to have someone in here from the vaccination clinic to tell us a little bit more about what vaccines are available, generally speaking, in the Cayman Islands. So again, thank you for that. There's a story in circulation about DART. We will have a look at that and see if we can share that on our web platform. So yes, I had a very educational visit yesterday with the Cayman Islands Breast Cancer Foundation. And I was actually brought to tears by a lot of the work that they are doing at that foundation. A lot of really good work. And I think so many of us have been touched by breast cancer at some point or another in our lives that, you know, I just appreciate what they do. And I appreciate the difficulty. I just found it very difficult for me to listen to the stories that that they were sharing. But this is reality. This is what people are having to deal with. So imagine if I find it difficult just listening to it, the people who are trying to, or who are having to live it, who have no choice but to go through that ordeal, imagine how they must feel. So I will be doing a number of features throughout the year on different nonprofits, not just the Breast Cancer Foundation, but there is generally the Cancer Foundation. I've not reached out to them as yet, but you know, there's different organizations that help a lot with animal rescue and trying to control the unwanted animal population. I mean, there's just, these organizations work extremely hard. And I think that we need to really give them the kudos that they deserve. But while I was there, I got a little bit of insight into something else. So, you know, Cayman is so incredibly small. And I think it's amazing that we are so connected in the way in which we are. So remember I was telling you guys a couple of days ago about Trevor, the young man who saved the elderly gentleman from the house fire. And so I was curious about, well, how did the Duchess of York, Ferguson, what's her name again? Duchess of York, Ferguson. How did she know about CMR, or, you know, that he had done this, that he had saved? Because we were the only ones who carried the story locally, right? So it's gone viral around the world, but I'm pretty sure that I understood that the Duchess of York is not sitting down reading Cayman Mall Road, although she might be interested after visiting the Cayman Islands. Who knows? She might actually want to visit Cayman one day. And so maybe she's trying to make sure she's well aware of what happens locally, but I don't kind of think so, right? So I thought to myself, how did she get this story? Well, it turns out when she came to the Cayman Islands, she actually met Trevor. So he was the young man, TJ, who was chosen to meet her at the airport. He was a cadet, obviously. And apparently she was so taken aback by him, even during the brief introduction that they had and so forth, that she expressed numerous times during her trip that she was really taken aback by this young man. She's like, wow, this young man is going places. So she came down during that visit as a guest speaker for the annual fundraising event for the Breast Cancer Foundation. You know, they always have their breast cancer gala every year, which is a huge fundraising event for them. They tend to have a lot of celebrity speakers and stuff come down for the event. So she came down that year and she met Trevor. She was really, really impressed with him. So when he did this amazing thing a few weeks back, they, I think, might have sent her the video that was in CMR, or at least the story, to say, look, this young man that you were so impressed with, look at what he has been up to. And it's like, oh my gosh, she was so impressed. So she's actually recorded. Listen to this, folks. I thought she was going to do a thank you note, because I think English people, royalty, always sit down and write a little thank you note, right? They're still very much into handwritten notes. Like the other day, I heard that one prince, oh, he's no longer prince. What are we calling him these days? Hold on. Meghan's husband. I can think of Harry. I can think of her, but I couldn't think of him in the moment. So Prince Harry, I'm still going to call him Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, when he went home for his grandfather's funeral, apparently in advance of him going, he had penned a handwritten note to his dad. And apparently they say he loves to write letters. I don't know what kind of penmanship he has, but I think that's very, very interesting. And so he wrote a letter to his dad, and, you know, they said it was a very personal letter. If it's so personal, I don't know what you people up in the man business for, but anyway. So yes, it's, you know, it's a thing to do handwritten letters, but she actually did a video. Yes. And we have it this morning. So this, folks, is another CMR exclusive. I mean, you don't get a video from any member of the royal family just off the top of, you know, just like that. I mean, this is amazing that a Caymanian child has received a personalized video thank you message from Sarah, the Duchess of York. So we're going to play that here for you. Thank you so much. Jean has reminded us that tetanus shots are good for every 5 years. And I think most of us don't just think, oh, it's the 5th year anniversary of my tetanus shot, let me run in and get one. Normally what ends up happening is something happens. So you get a cut, you get a dog bite or whatever. And one of the first questions they're going to ask you is, oh, by the way, when was the last time you had a tetanus shot? And then you say, oh, I don't know. And they say, okay, it's probably been more than 4 years or 5 years. So thank you so much for that. I just had someone say that they'll reach out to a medical professional who might want to come on and tell us all about tetanus shots. So really, chickenpox vaccines have been available since 1995. Well, I would have definitely had chickenpox before then because I got it in, I think I might have still been in elementary school, maybe middle school. So definitely way before then. And it can be given at birth. Okay. And I'm curious to know, we'll maybe look this up, but is that a lifelong, like you just do the one dosage, or, because I know in elderly people that, not elderly, but older folks, chickenpox can come back as like shingles, which is a slightly different form of it. And that's people who have previously been exposed, if my memory serves me correctly, to the chickenpox virus. Miss Iva says it's not an easy road. She walked it in 2007 and 2019 in terms of breast cancer. Well, we are so happy that you are still here with us. It is very, very difficult, and we'll have some discussions. I don't want to get too deep into it today because it is actually a very emotional subject for me, because I do have a sister, although she was a half sister, who's passed away from breast cancer. Well, she had breast cancer. That's how it presented itself initially, and then it came back as bone cancer. So it's a difficult conversation, I think, for a lot of us to have, because we know people, and again, if someday we discover that there's a vaccine that can help the vast majority of people not get breast cancers, you better believe that I would be first in line for it. So Carol says tetanus shot every 10 years. Lion says a tetanus booster shot is recommended every 10 years. So let's watch the video from Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, for TJ.
It's just incredible, and well done to Trevor. Such an inspiration. So
where's
brave,
the audio?
so courageous. But I really knew he was somebody special when I met him.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me see why we have no audio on this video. I'm going to check it otherwise. Okay, there's no audio in that video. Let me just check another link. Let me check my emails. I think it was sent by email yesterday as well. Let me just double check. Not sure why there is no video, but let me just download it again. Download. Okay. Big shout out to Flo, who got me cracking with the download speeds. I gotta tell you, these days it's good to have faster internet. During COVID, we were kind of struggling. I gotta be honest with you. Okay, let's try this other video and see if we've got any audio on this one.
It's just
perfect.
incredible.
All right, so this one has audio. It's a little bit low. I don't know if Duchess of York just speaks really low, but hopefully you guys can hear it.
And well done to Trevor. Such an inspiration, so brave, so courageous. But I really knew he was somebody special when I met him. So I have just heard the great news. So well done to you, Trevor, because I have just been told by your mum that the Department of Children and Family Services has chosen you, Trevor, as the Child Nominee Awardee in the high school category for Child Month, May 2021. You will receive this award. Yes, you will receive this award on Sunday at the Red Bay Holiness Church in Cayman. So I decided that maybe Mum, Deirdre, might want to play this little video to you, Trevor, to say, I wish I was there with you to honour you for this incredible award. But on behalf of everybody, all children, all over the world, you are an inspiration. You show such heart and soul. And thank you so much for giving. And you are the hero, and you have saved people's lives. And I can't believe what you did. You deserve it. Well done, Trevor.
So congratulations again to Trevor. I think that's amazing. I see all of your comments that you can hear it, which is strange. because I definitely couldn't hear it. But good to know that you could actually hear it. I could hear the second one, which is very, very bizarre. Richard says that she resembles Miss Berna. She does, actually, now that you say that, because Miss Berna is also a redhead. So we don't have too many red-headed Caymanians when you think about it. That is very interesting. But yes, I think they have their hair a similar style and length. And even in the facial features, she looks like Miss Berna as well. So Dacia confirms that the chickenpox vaccine is 1 dosage. Thank you so much. So yes, big shout out to Trevor. So we're planning a little something for him, a little get together to just show him how much the community appreciates exactly what he did by saving this elder gentleman's life. I think an amazing feat. Catherine says, I'm 16, had mine as a child. Had your, which one? The tetanus or chickenpox or which one? Well, you couldn't have been a child in 1995. Gabby says that she won't be taking any vaccines, not even the flu shot I take. Maybe when more testing and information is available. Well, Gabby, you need to get out there and educate yourself, girl, because believe me when I tell you, there is tons of information available on vaccines. So if you don't know anything about it, that's your fault. You need to get educated. There's lots and lots of medical information that is available. And by and large, vaccines are very, very safe. And, you know, do your research. Just make sure that the source of your research is valid. So Melinda says, I got goosebumps. Congratulations. And thank you for your bravery. A physician has confirmed here in WhatsApp that actually the chickenpox vaccine is in 2 dosages, not 1. So the CDC recommends 2 dosages of the varicella chickenpox vaccine for children, adolescents, and adults to protect against varicella. Children are routinely recommended to receive the first dose at age 12 through 15 months and the second dose at 4 through 6 years. Yeah, I'm interested to know if it's part of your vaccination program here in the Cayman Islands. I imagine that it would be. We have a very, very good vaccination program here. So COVID-19 is cured in Mexico. It's called Mexico Did It. Oh, somebody's saying that there's some virus thing that's being circulated on social media. I haven't seen it, but I've heard this before, that I don't know exactly how they're sending it to you, but folks, don't randomly open files and stuff, even in WhatsApp, that you don't know who they're from, because we have received a number of indications from people that they have indeed had their WhatsApp commandeered by WhatsApp pirates and all sorts of stuff, simply because they clicked on a link. They received a link and they clicked on it, and that was the end of that. So thank you so much. The young lady who was working at the sunglass place, I am happy to say that she has been able to successfully register. She just sent me confirmation this morning for Works. Now, she had told us that somebody at Works had informed her that because she had been medical boarded by government, that she was unable to register. And this was, I think, a couple of years ago when she was trying to do it. And I thought, well, that doesn't even make any sense. Works is there to get you registered. Most of the jobs on Works are not government jobs, they're private sector jobs. So how that should matter, I don't have a clue. Someone from Works actually reached out yesterday to me and said that they wanted to assist her. And so I put the 2 parties in contact. I'm happy to say that she's actually sent me an email confirmation this morning that she has registered for Works. And that's the first step for the government to even know that you are unemployed and looking for a job. Anybody else out there looking for a job and unemployed need to ensure that they are registering with Works, because that's one way that they know that you're unemployed, folks. And that's why a lot of times I think that their unemployment figures are not as accurate as they could be, because you, the unemployed individual, simply don't do your job to let them know that you're even looking for a job, that you are unemployed. So we've got to make sure that we're doing that. Speaking of unemployment, I'm sure a lot of you saw this post yesterday that when I saw it, it got a little bit under my skin, talking about the fact that Stepping Stone, so this is their, I guess it's their Instagram page or whatever, saying that they are employing people. And this person says, yesterday I recorded an episode with Alistair from Stepping Stone Recruitment. So if you are on Ireland thinking of moving jobs, hoping to move to Ireland, just want to know more about the work permit process in general, then stay tuned for this one. Alistair currently has 99 roles on Ireland to fill on Ireland. 99 roles. Wow. You do? Well, this is fantastic news. And I thank you for letting us know that there were so many employment opportunities available on Ireland. Now, can we get some more details in terms of where those jobs are specifically, what industries, and why is there a push for people from overseas to be getting access to those jobs? Why not the local population? I would love for every single Caymanian to be able to reach out to Stepping Stone and say, hey, Stepping Stone, I'm right here. I'm looking for a job. I hear you got 99 jobs available. It's like 99 bottles of beer in the wall. Let's start by hiring Caymanians. We have at least 99 Caymanians who are looking for a job. And listen, I'm not saying Caymanians might fill every single position, but even if they could fill just 75 or even 50, even if it was a 50% success rate, then folks, bring it on. You know, I am just like, why not? This is where I get a little bit annoyed, not just by recruitment agencies, but by government and others who really and honestly don't seem to care that there are Caymanians who are indeed unemployed in this country and who are looking for jobs. They may not be able to fill every job, folks, but I would bet that there's a good number of those jobs that could be filled with local talent. So come on, employment agencies, stop looking for to overseas individuals to fill jobs. Most of the times they're no more qualified. They come here and steal staplers and the most. Give a Caymanian a chance, why don't you? That's my spiel on that. Thank you very much. Someone has just sent me the link for CIG recruitment page, find organizations and agencies. Oh, right. That's in relation to vaccination, sorry. And by the way, folks, our government is still hiring, even during a pandemic. So I want you guys to know this. And give me 1 second, because we're going to look at the jobs available on the government website, because some of you may not even know about these jobs. And you know what? I don't know why people think working for government is the holy grail, but I know that a lot of you do. I think a lot of you think that, well, I get pension covered 100%, health insurance. So even if I only make $2,500 a month, I'm taking home the full $2,500 to my family. Unlike private sector, if I make $2,500, by the time insurance comes out for me and the kids and 4 people and 5 people, that's $1,000 right there. You know, then you've got pension coming out. I'm maybe taking home 30% less, or even, you know, a lot more than that. So, so Elizabeth says not only registered, but you need to be assigned an agent. Yes, we're hopeful that this is the first step in trying to assist her in getting employment. Thank you so much as well for people who reached out, who were willing to assist her. I had another lady reach out yesterday and said, listen, she's in a bit of a quandary herself because she works for the turtle farm and we know what's popping off over there. And, but she's still willing to give what she has. So she has some clothing that could be of assistance. If she finds another job and she needs to get some clothing, then, you know, we can put stuff together and help her. So if you have anything in your closet, she wears around a size 12 or 14, depending, I think, on the cut and the material, 9.5 shoes. You know, we are a community that is, we overuse this term Caymankind, but it seems like when it comes to Caymankind, that's good for everybody else but Caymanians. Caymanians need to be Cayman kind to each other, folks. Gabby says, I know an employer who just brought in a first-time permit holder and put in for 2 more. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It really is. During a time like this, I feel like we have more people being imported into the Cayman Islands than ever before. Positions here. So we have everything on the government website, from a senior slaughterhouse to assistant postmaster general, business licensing officer. That probably doesn't require a whole lot. They're looking for project managers, lab techs, both here and in Cayman Brac, a planning officer, management support advisor, security operations center analyst, a senior lecturer, I think that's at UCCI, human resources manager, admin and technical assistant for academic affairs. Is that UCCI? Yep, University College. And then you can just click here and get the full description of the job and what they're looking for, and make sure that you meet the requirements. So they say bachelor's degree or an associate's degree in 3 years relevant experience. So folks, check these out. Deputy Director of Investment, Invest Cayman, big time job there. Director for Invest Cayman. Is Invest Cayman a new agency? I kind of feel like they could be. But anyway, they're hiring top level jobs here. This salary starts at $100,000. So if you're qualified, they're only looking for a bachelor's degree in terms of academic qualifications, but you must have 7 to 10 years of relevant professional experience. So check that one out if you qualify. Accounts Officer 1, police helicopter pilot. Well, we know that's a very specialized position. You need to be able to operate that Airbus, blah, blah, blah. Again, we know they could really train Caymanians, but anyway. A recruit constable and a finance manager. So these are some of the government jobs that are currently listed on their website and that are available. They're hiring folks. Get on it. The job descriptions are structured to discourage Caymanians. You know what? Still apply. Still apply. I feel like sometimes with the civil service, they need to be, although they don't require a work permit, that they need to be scrutinized as well for not hiring and giving Caymanians an opportunity. It's happening both in the civil service and outside of the civil service, which is really, really sad. So Donna says we have more than 99 unemployed Caymanians. We do, but we can start with filling those 99 slots. That would be a good start. C. Ebank says that, good morning, Sandy and everyone. Works needs to be cleaned out totally, and programs and practices put in place to assist Caymanians. As it is now, works is a waste of time. Unfortunate, but I've heard that sentiment before. I really hope that they can get it together. Turks has stopped work permits, big restrictions on them, so I hope our government does it here. I saw the article actually on CMR. Now, I say I saw the article, and you're probably thinking, well, didn't you write the article? Actually, I didn't. As you know, we have a regional correspondent, and she does a lot of things other than just regional news. So on the website, she did put up an article yesterday. Turks and Caicos puts a hold on first-time work permits. So what they have done in TCI is they have placed a 1-year moratorium on all first-time work permit applications for various categories effective the 1st of May. So it's not across the board, but it is various categories. I think that this is really, really interesting. So affected areas include construction, real estate agents. Oh, now have we not been talking about for a minute how maybe the real estate agent, real estate industry should be restricted to Caymanians only? Okay, well, at least they put a moratorium that's included in that category. Property managers, legal professionals, including attorneys, legal executives, and paralegals. What? Entry-level positions, secretary, receptionist, and data entry personnel, human resource managers, assistant human resource managers, tour boat operators, and mates. The restriction will also include a person seeking to engage in the rental of water sports equipment. So again, knowing what has happened to the tourism industry, as a result of COVID, they are taking some steps to secure certain jobs with this moratorium. So exempted categories include airline and helicopter pilot, helicopter and airline mechanics, cigar rollers. Is that like a big time job there? I'm wondering. Agricultural assistant, farmer, and farm laborer. The ministry also said that work permits issued to boutique receptionists, villa managers, front desk agents, concierge agents, and restaurant servers would be done so with stipulations until further notice. So look at what they're doing. They said that the moratorium marks the beginning of a consultation period with stakeholders and will allow the ministry to review the skills audit and population policy. Cayman, where's our skills audit and population policy? We don't have one. Well, we sure hope that this government is on it. Okay. 60-day moratorium intervals. They'll review it at 60-day intervals per cabinet recommendations. This is something worth considering because I see too many work permits being approved here for stuff that makes absolutely no sense. Flashpoint says what you find in the private sector is that managers from foreign countries want people that they're comfortable with, i.e. from their own countries and culture. Yes, and we have talked about this before, but you know what? They have moved to the Cayman Islands. They're now living in the Cayman Islands. They can become comfortable with Caymanians. Doneen says, I know personally 3 people that have applied to Cayman and were turned down to hire Caymanians first. It's happening, which is very good. Employers are listening. Wait a minute. Okay. A very positive note for Cayman. Oh, right. So they were turned down in favor of good. Thank you. Pre-screening for work permit applications. Yeah, real estate agents, I think, is one that needs to be looked at. So this person says, wow, a major hotel owner just purchased a hotel in Turks and Caicos and plan to move most of the staff from the sister island to there. Sister island being our sister island, like Cayman Brac. That's interesting. Okay. Right. Did my poor little computer just freeze up on me? Trying to do too many things at once. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, it's not letting me close this app. I think WhatsApp has gone a bit bonkers. There we go. Okay, so a major hotel owner. The only major hotel owner I know in the BRAC would be DART. Are you saying that DART just purchased something in TCI? Well, that would be interesting. You know how I have a LinkedIn profile just there because I don't even know why. I honestly can't stand LinkedIn, but I guess it's good for professionals. Professionals, you know, to have a LinkedIn account. I don't even know. What do you guys really use LinkedIn for? Sometimes it's interesting to go in there. But you know how it tells you like that your name showed up in certain like searches and maybe people were like looking for your name. So speaking of DART, I don't know who in the DART organization would be looking me up or Cayman Mall Road, but it actually showed up that my name showed up in the search for like, I guess somebody within the DART organization. And I was just like, okay, that is weird, but whatever. So thanks for that info there, Damien. We'll look into it. Ellen says, as a Caymanian living abroad, need a work permit to come home and work. come back to the Cayman Islands and work? No, we never need a work permit. My God, the day that happens, we're done for. No, if you're a Caymanian, you will, if you are a Caymanian, you will always have the right to work. For broom factors. That made me laugh. So no, our unemployment rate is at 8%. Start hiring us Caymanians. Yes, I mean, for an island this size, I honestly don't understand why we have any significant unemployment at all. So just get it done, like seriously. All right, so the other thing that was popping off on the social media news front yesterday was the fact that the premier has commissioned a custom ring from Prodigy Jewelers for himself. Now, this was interesting, and I started to get people asking me, did he pay for this himself? And I sure hope he did, because he makes enough money to pay for it himself. And there should be no legit reason why the people of the Cayman Islands would have to foot that bill. I mean, come on now. Why would we pay for that? But let's have a look at the ring. First of all, I want to give a shout out to David and his team there at Prodigy Jewelers. David Ebanks is an amazing jeweler. This man is talented out of this world. So when you go in and you tell him what you want, David will do his sketches and put together an idea for you based on what you have said that you want. And then he will custom design these pieces. And I got to tell you, this ring is over the top in terms of the custom design. And I don't know what the price on this ring is, but it has to be a pretty penny because it looks like it's diamonds galore. So let's have a look at this ring. So this is the front of the ring. So give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up all the details on it to make sure that we get it exactly correcto. We are looking, folks, at 14 karat gold with diamonds and sapphires. So this is the front of it, front facing. Sue says that must have cost a fortune, many, many dollars, dollar bills. I don't know how many diamonds are in it, but there's quite a few, child. There's quite a few. And there, of course, is the Cayman coat of arms. Beautiful coat of arms. And then there's more. There is the side of the ring where it says Premier 2013 to 2021. That's one side. And the other side has his initials, Alden McNamee McLaughlin, I think is his full name. I think he's a junior, actually. And then a map of our 3 islands. I mean, the details on this ring, I got to tell you, the details are amazing. No ways about it, right? Look at our 3 islands. Beautiful. And then inside of the ring itself is an emboss, is that the right word for it, of our turtle. Look at the beautiful turtle. Gorgeous. And then, of course, we get to see it on Alden's finger to see exactly what it looks like when he's wearing it. Bling, bling, and more bling. Now, I love custom pieces. I think this is meaningful. Someone says, is this like a Super Bowl ring? When you win the Super Bowl, you out and get a ring. Would I have chosen this as something to commensurate my tenure as premier for 8 years? Probably not. I mean, it's a beautiful piece and David is talented out of this world. I just don't know that personally it's not what I would have had designed, but everybody has the ability to choose whatever they want. So, you know, to each his own. And if this is Alden's cup of tea, then certainly the jeweler, David, was able to make it happen. And I'm sure Alden is tickled pink with this design, by the way. It's probably not quite as big as his ego, but you know, I am certain that he loves it and he'll sleep with it and he'll, you know, just don't hit anybody with this ring now, Alden, because geez, this ring could leave quite an imprint of the coat of arms on their forehead if you give him a good smack with it. So congratulations to David and his team. It's very, very detailed, obviously. I've lost count of the diamonds and the sapphires, but it's a lot. I don't care what Alden spends his money on as long as it's his money and it's not the people's money. You either like it or you don't. Steve-O says the ring is kind of ghetto. I think it's a lot. It's a lot of a ring. And it's probably just something that he will just put away, you know, in a ring box somewhere and just keep. And then when he dies, they'll put it in the casket with him. Or maybe it gets passed on to another generation. I don't know how people feel about that. Putting jewelry in with the casket. But there you have it. That's the Premier's new bling. You know, like I said, everybody has their own taste and what they feel is, in terms of jewelry, what they feel is something that works for them. CE Banks wants to know if that's real diamonds or cubic zirconia. No. Those are diamonds, honey. Those are real diamonds. He says his favorite part is the turtle. Yeah, the details and the quality of this ring, no doubt, is bar none, top of the line. You know, anytime I wear my, the other day I had on my Cayman flag, people always say to me, oh my gosh, where did you get that from? And there was a foreign lady the other day who said, where did you get that flag from? She's like, did you have David make that at Prodigy? And so I didn't even have to tell her. She just knew off the top. And I was like, yes, actually, David did make this for me. And so there you have it. I'm going to show you guys a picture of it because I don't wear it often because it kind of has to, like, I try to reserve it for special occasions, but I'm going to show it to you. Big shout out to Shirley Rolston, who actually took this picture of me at the swearing-in ceremony the other day. But this is a good visual of the flag. Now look at this. Look at that flag. David made that as well. Solid gold with then that blue baked on overlay so that he'd get the coloring just right. Beautiful. Every single time I wear it, people are like, OMG, where did you get that from? And I'm like, go check David. He makes unique things. And even the one that I have on right now, which is a map of Grand Cayman, is from David. Yeah. So a lot of people have requested that he does one with like the 3 islands. I think he could do it as like a drop layer. So Grand Cayman being at the bottom, Cayman Brac in the middle, and then Little Cayman. So you do it by size from the smallest to the largest. So yes, beautiful. Jose, who paid for it, there would be no reason for the people of Cayman Islands to have paid for that. I can assure you. I hope that we don't even have to really seriously entertain that question. And the Premier he has made enough money to pay for it himself. So good. If he paid for it, he can do whatever he wants. It's his money. Is that why he didn't show up for work on the first day? You people are so shady. Can I just tell you, you guys bring some real shade on this show. And it's not just me that's shady. You, Ling Ling, are shady. But no, that's not why he showed up, because he just picked it up, I think, like yesterday. So he just picked it up yesterday. And he's put it on his ring finger, which should be where he has a ring of marriage. So maybe he's saying that he's married to the premiership and not anybody else. Because he actually doesn't wear a ring. Which I know there's a lot of men in Cayman don't wear rings. But anyway, let me show you a picture of him with it on. So yes, it's on that finger. And there he is. It is big, I must say. But you know, you get a piece like that and it really is going to last you a lifetime, is all I can tell you. So there's the Premier, folks, looking nice and slim. He's one of the slimmer members of the LA. I think he tries to keep in shape a little bit. And now he's got, I think he did put on a few COVID pounds though, to be honest. But there you have it. He's got his new bling. Check out David, folks. He does a fantastic job there in the village. All right, Mr. Premier, congratulations on your new bling. Let's talk about the Boxing Association. Magdalene says, bring it up close. Which one? My little flag? I'll wear it one day soon on the show so you can see it. Stephanie says it's on the ring finger of his right hand, though. Yes. Is that his right hand? Oh, shoot. Sorry. Wrong finger. Yes. I'm confused. I'm looking at the picture. And you know, when you're looking at it, it's on the left, but it's actually his right. You're right, Stephanie. That is his right. So that's not where he wears that. He has another ring on the other finger, but I think it's a similar, I don't know what that ring is on the other finger. So yes, good for him. Shout out to the staff at the Prodigy Jewelers as well. It's definitely an amazing piece, I must tell you. I certainly hadn't thought of it. Like, oh, let's have a premiership ring. But don't be getting comfortable with thinking the people of Cayman Islands will ever pay for something like that, because it ain't happening. Number for David or email. Hold on. Let me link you. David, 749-7647. Or you can email them. I'll put it here at prodigyjewelers@outlook.com. And you can also call David directly. He's got a mobile number. David's awesome. He really is awesome. His son, David's a jeweler of 30 plus years, and his son also works in the business with him. And his son actually does a lot of the photos and stuff that you'll see on the website. He does a lot of those and a lot of the video pieces, so you can get like a 360 appreciation of some of the custom pieces and stuff that he has. He sells everything: watches, earrings. Ooh, I see a pair of hoop earrings that I like. David, I'm gonna call you. Very simple, just gold, nothing flashy, but hey, every woman needs a couple hoop earrings in her collection. David should, oh my gosh, what is this coin? Oh, this pendant is beautiful. Oh, David, we need to talk. David is gonna have to start furnishing me with some jewelry pieces just for the show, so I can be like, oh, look at the bling that I got from David. I'll model the pieces for all of you. You know, many years ago, I actually lost a pendant. It's a story that upsets me every time, but it was a solid Chinese gold coin, and the border of it was bamboo. And if I could get that replaced, I would be so tickled pink. And it was, when you talk about weight, trust me, you felt that in your hand. You're like, wow, this is not a hollow piece of jewelry. So yes, big shout out to David. That's my boy. Give him a call. Mr. Bling Bling, says Jose. He'll hook you up. Sometimes you just want one or two nice pieces in your collection. Not that you're going to be wearing them, walk around bling. Because, you know, sometimes I see people with the big chain and the big, like, pendant taking up their entire chest. And I'm thinking, you know, that comes in handy if anybody ever tries to shoot you, because that's going to ricochet bullets and save your life. That'll be your claim to fame, is that I was wearing this big pendant one day and there was a robbery in the grocery store and boom, I came out a superhero because of this pendant. But not everybody wants that look. There are a lot of people who prefer a more subtle approach to jewelry. And so David has something for everybody, from watches to pendants to rings, whatever. He's got you covered. All right, Ellen says you can tell which finger mostly because of his watch. Yes. The question is he right or left-handed? The watch is the giveaway. A left-handed person will wear the watch on the right hand and vice versa. I'm pretty sure he's right-handed. I've never seen him sign anything with a left hand that I'm aware of. Speaking of right versus left-handed, it looks like I have a daughter who's going to be left-handed. And so we've already had to purchase her like little left-handed scissors and stuff. And we kind of saw when she was really young a preference for the left hand, but the doctor said, listen, don't even think about this until she's well over a year old, and you'll kind of see what her dominant hand is going to be. But she would, and she still does, go back and forth quite a bit. But I think for writing purposes, she definitely seems to prefer, although she still flip-flops, like I'll see it right with her. But for the most part, it does seem like the left hand is her preference. But as a baby, like she'd pick up something with the right hand and then she'd switch it over to the left hand. I was kind of like, okay, which is it going to be? And, you know, she did that for a while, but I think she's going to be a southpaw, as we call them, a lefty. So Lulu says Charles the Killer Whitaker sometimes helps out there too, ironically. So let's talk about Charles a little bit here. Charles and David, I'm pretty sure, are cousins. And I think that they're actually first cousins at that. So they're pretty close. And yeah, sometimes Charles, when he would, even when he'd go back and forth, he would visit his cousin and help out in the jewelry store. And, you know, just, I think just hanging out with him really and helping him out in sales and that sort of thing. So a lot of times you can see Charles there at the jewelry store. So we're all anxiously waiting from Charles. I ran into a police detective yesterday who said to me, he is like, girl, your shows have been so hot lately. So we talked about the eyeglass place, and he's like, that's just a shame. And then we also discussed the whole situation with Charles and how provocative Tracy was in terms of her approach to the whole situation. Tracy has now issued an apology. It came out late yesterday. We have it up on the website now this morning. And I'll read you the apology, and I'm curious to know, we're going to put up a poll later whether you think Tracy should be fired or not. Because a lot of people is like, listen, Tracy showed no degree of restraint whatsoever. First of all, she started the whole thing. And then she showed no degree of restraint. Obviously, once it started popping off, everybody was in their feelings and people are using words that in a gym were not appropriate. She talked about stuff about the kids. Someone made an observation that the day that Charles showed up, the children were actually in the back being trained. Now, I don't know if there were any other children on the inside, but while she's criticizing him for being a boy and being childish and an imbecile, if there were children who were in that gym listening to her words and who have since seen the video, which everybody in Cayman has seen the video, then it does make me wonder how she could think that her behavior is something that she could recover from. And the detective said to me yesterday, you know, she committed a number of offenses, criminal offenses. And I said, well, why isn't she being charged? And of course, duh, as many times as I've been in court, I should know. If there is not a complainant, she will not be charged. So in other words, Charles, you need to contact the police and say, I want her charged. And then the DPP, the police will investigate it. They got all the evidence they need. This should be an open and shut case. And then they can have her charged. Now, do I think that she should be charged? Yes, I do. I was reminded when I did a protest a couple years ago in West Bay at the Adams family that there's certain things that you cannot do and you cannot say in public places. Now, this is a public use place, so I'm sure they can make the same case. And when you use those types of words, as she did, that's an offense. So charge her. Charge Charles because he was dead wrong, and charge Tracy because she was dead wrong too. We're not going to hold anybody to a different standard. So Ling Ling says that Alden spends a lot of money in himself, his hair, and his jewelry. I don't know that he spends a whole lot in that hair of his. I know people go on about it because it always seems to be perfectly manicured. Like he uses a lot of gel, but I don't think gel is particularly expensive. I mean, I guess it depends on what brand you're using. But I don't know that it's terribly expensive, but he does seem to be a particular man. So in other words, he likes to look good. And I'm sure there are lots of women out there who appreciate that. and who get the benefits of that. Would be nice if it was just his wife, but whatever. C. Bank says Tracy needs to be fired, not setting a good example for young children or teenagers. I say that a lot have many skeletons very far, not hidden very far in the closets. They're not that far, trust me. I learned a long time ago to pay attention to people's actions, etc. You can learn a lot very quietly. Yes, honey child, people watching. Magdalene says she should be fired, especially because she especially, what is that? Chased to attack him in public first, but the association stated that he made derogatory comments in front of kids. But that when she attacked him? Yes. There is no such offense, El Rey, interestingly enough, of insulting the modesty of a man. Apparently, men have no modesty to be insulted. So you can say anything to a man, and that wouldn't be what she'd be charged with. But there are other offenses that could be laid against her. Yeah, support David. And Louis, I keep forgetting to bring the coral piece that you designed and sent me in the studio, but I want to share that with people. It's beautiful. And I'm going to message you about that later on. Jose. So Tracy's apology reads as follows. Tracy says, several days. Oh, right. Okay, hold on. That was our beginning. Yeah, hold on. There's a link for it. She says that blah, blah, blah. When given the opportunity to work here, I realize it still is that place, and it plays a fundamental role. Anyway, let me try to see if I can pull it up, because that's not the full apology. She goes on and on and on and on. Where is her apology? She says, dear valued members, parents, coaches, faculty, and staff, she should include the children in that too, of our sporting organization, ministry, and Department of Sports. I'm writing to apologize for the way that I reacted to the incidents which occurred at the D. Dalmain Ebanks Boxing Gymnasium earlier this week. Well, the apology isn't the way you reacted to the incident. It's the way that you reacted in the incident, not to the incident. You, girl, please. The gym has always been a sanctuary where I felt safe and nurtured. It played a pivotal role in my life, providing an atmosphere like a family since I was 18. When given the opportunity to work there, I realized it still is that place, and it plays a fundamental role in the lives of many young people, really. I feel very passionately about the gym, the association, its program, its members, and its values. It is so important to me because it is so important to me to provide that same atmosphere to other young people. Tracy, please stop your lying, girl. Who are you talking to? And to uphold and instill the values of respect, inclusivity, tolerance, self-belief, and accountability. Girl, you need to resign. If you believe any of this BS that you have just written, you need to resign, because you ran afoul of every single one of those with everything you did that day. No respect, no inclusiveness, no tolerance, no self-belief, no accountability. Resign, Tracy, or they should fire you. The things that you said to Charles and how low you went. Charles didn't even go that low. I mean, yes, he damaged the government door, but you were gunning for this man like, you know what people said to me? Let me finish reading what she said. She says, unfortunately, I feel that my reaction to events which transpired does not represent those values. Really, Tracy? Girl, took you 2 days to come to that conclusion? I cannot undo what was done. I can now only learn from the mistake. You can't, but you can be held accountable. My aim is to become better and better, embody the principles I believe in, to act as a better example and role model. You were none that day, none at all. I cannot express enough how sorry I am, and my only hope is that you will not take my mistakes and cast it on the boxing gym. It truly is a sanctuary where all persons belong and should be able to feel safe and respected. Regards, Tracy Seymour. We won't cast it on the boxing gym if they do the right thing, which is fire your behind. then we will say, right, they believe in holding people accountable. You see, in situations like this, you say to our young people, listen, sometimes you screw up and sometimes you screw up in an epic way. We've all been there. We've all done it. But to make a young person believe that there will be no accountability for their actions is a mistake. You should be held accountable. You should be fired from the job. I'm sure you can find something else to do. And then young people go, wow. So when I explode like that, I could potentially be charged and go to court, and or I could lose my job. Those are consequences. Yep. All kind of fluff in the apologies. Equal penalty for her behavior to the Honorable Mr. Whitaker in public. It's a shame. Yes, I think they should both be held accountable. So Anne Marie says the gym is her sanctuary and passion. Wow, but it is not the same for Charles. What a joke. You know, I'm glad you said that, Anne Marie, because as I was thinking about her words, I thought she's talking about, oh, how she's been there from 18. Charles grew up under the arms of Dalmain. And that gym wouldn't be there if it wasn't for people like him. Someone was saying to me how they used to spend a lot of time with Charles when he was a kid, and that he walked around with, I think they said it was Muhammad Ali's boxing book. And he would literally sleep with this book underneath his pillow every single night. So Tracy, you think that the gym and the sport of boxing has some meaning to you. Try making that tenfold for how Charles probably felt and why he was so incredibly insulted by your position that he could be blocked from a facility that he feels so incredibly passionate about. Come on, Charles. We're going to hopefully talk to you soon. But Tracy, you got to do better, girl. We're not buying it. What you should be doing right now is stepping down without people having to call for your resignation. That would be the responsible thing to do and how you set a good example. Let me just go through a few. Oh, so someone says it's not DART. This is in reference to the Cayman Brac Hotel. It's the Tibbetts Group. They own Little Cayman Beach Resort, Cobalt Coast, and Brac Reef. And they're moving their Brac Reef dive boats and closing the Brac Hotel. What? Which Brac Hotel? Brac Reef? They have all of their dive boats at Harbor House Marina now, getting them ready to go to Turks and Caicos. This is news to me. The things that you hear, honey child. Well, we need to get the scoop on that story. Wow. Yes, sir. You guys are the best with information, I gotta tell you. I'm in the know because of all of you. Elizabeth says that facility is like a home to Charles. Exactly. Tracy, get it together, girl. Get it together. Anyway, I know that boxing has been helpful to Tracy because she lost a lot of weight, I think some years back because of, being able to get into things like the boxing gym. And a lot of you were asking, what does Tracy look like? There she is. She's a nice looking Black woman, but she is a Black woman. So I remain extremely offended by her comments about Charles that insinuate that she is somehow racist. Now, a lot of you think, oh, Black people can't be racist against each other, but child, you would be wrong about that. And what is so ironic about it is some of the more racist people are like darker toned Black too, not like your fair skin, and maybe you could claim that you're mixed with anything. So there is an irony in all of that. That is just too deep for today because it's a Friday. So we're not gonna pop off on that discussion, but let me assure you that racism isn't necessarily like you can be Black and still be racist. That's all I got to say about it. I don't even know how to, we're going to have to dig deep, and that's today. It's Friday. Okay. Yes, it is Friday. I want you guys to have a wonderful weekend. Valdine says, what? I don't know what which comment got her in shock, but maybe it was the hotel comment. Charles is the sole reason, as example to the children in Cayman and to the world, that this little island is a force to be working with. Al Ray says they're not giving work permits in TCI, question mark. Well, they might have a problem now that this has just come out in the news. So they might be staying right here in Cayman if that's the case, because we know they'll be getting work permits out the wazoo here. So yeah, what a hot mess. So someone said to me, be careful. My grandson was left-handed, but when he went to school, they forced him to use his right hand. Are we still doing that? Is that still a thing? Because I thought by now we were over all that foolishness. Seriously. I know that everything is created for right-handed people, from like the mouse to cars. And I mean, you feel like a lefty in this world is so at a disadvantage, but I hope that we are progressing beyond that. Even desks at school, they're all designed for everybody to be writing with their right hand. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully we're not into that kind of behavior still. So someone has sent me some pictures about Jackass of the Day. Okay, I need to obviously have a look at that. Okay, I think that's all I got for you, folks. So we'll continue to watch a few developing stories. There is a story today that you guys will find incredibly interesting when I post it up. I'm not going to tell you what it is first, but it has to do with the prison service. That's all I can tell you. So keep an eye out for that. That will go up a little bit later on. Carson, thank you for that comment. Emma says if it wasn't for Charles, the gym probably wouldn't even exist. I don't give Charles right for his behavior, but two wrongs don't make any rights. That's right. So Valdine says it was the hotel that was just shocker. Ice cream scoops are the worst. The worst what? Ice cream scoops. Where did we go to ice cream scoops? Oh, for lefties. An ice cream scoop. Huh. Because it's, I can only imagine, probably very difficult for a lefty to use an ice cream scoop. I've never tried it. I think that all of us to appreciate what left-handed people go through should live one day, just 24 hours, like tie your right hand behind your back and just use your left hand. You would see how incredibly difficult it becomes. So yes, Louis, have a great day. He says this is the best breakfast a person could include in their diet. Elizabeth, the story of Kenneth Dart. We're going to repost that. Ling Ling and all of you have a wonderful weekend. I ran into a gentleman yesterday at Cost You Less, and he said to me, I keep telling my wife, he's in West Wing. He said, I keep telling my wife, you are on everything, girl. A pin drops in Cayman and you know what's going on. Almost. So I appreciate the love and support. We've been getting lots and lots of love, especially post-election. Carol says knives also, no matter how sharp, they are dull for lefties. Yes. Is there such a thing as left-handed knives? Like now you got me thinking about how we could probably make this child easier. So I know there's left-handed scissors. There's left-handed pens that make it easier for lefties. Oh, I got to get her some of those. There is a lefty college rule book. So the like college thread, what is it called? The threading, the spine of it is on the left. But I think for the most part, lefties just have to get used to living in a right-handed world, which is crazy. There is a left-handed can opener. Left-handed keyboard. Left-handed keyboard. Let me see what this looks like. Oh. Huh. I'm going to show you guys this because this is actually really interesting. Well, you may be asking yourself, what the heck is a left-handed keyboard? Look at this. The keys are different. Look at the slant of the keys. It's almost like a pyramid. Because I guess when you take a regular keyboard and you flip it around, that's what it looks like. But yeah, that's kind of cool. Interesting. But you see, the difficulty of that is when they go into the real world, an employer is not likely to give them a left-handed keyboard. So even if you try to accommodate your kids at home, oh, the Kenneth Bryan story. Lord have mercy. Thank you, Elizabeth. I almost forgot about that one, to be honest. Here I was thinking about Kent Dart, I think is his name. Yes, famous lefties, Aristotle, Napoleon, Babe Ruth, Leonardo da Vinci, Barack Obama, and Bill Gates. Some good heavy hitters there. So yes, there was a story in circulation all day yesterday. I got it first thing in the morning about how the story went, hold on, let me tell you what the story said. The story went like this. Let me see who sent. I had so many people send it to me yesterday. Let me just find one. The story first got forwarded, and of course, throughout the day, it changed a little bit. So almost midnight last night, Kenneth got into a heated argument with someone outside of his office, and then his car window was smashed. He wouldn't let security call the police. That was the original message, and then as the day progressed, it kind of changed. And I called Kenneth in the morning because I first got that yesterday morning at about 10 o'clock. And I called Kenneth and I said, are you okay? And he's like, why wouldn't I be? And I'm like, I don't know. People are saying you got in this. And he's like, what? So he's like, Sandy, come and see my car. I don't know, my truck. I don't know what people are talking about. Yada, yada, yada. So I didn't get to see his truck until after 5 o'clock, but I can assure you it was fine. He was at his office meeting with his committee members. I spoke to other committee members who were there and they were equally confused. They're like, nothing like that happened. We were there until after midnight. They were discussing, I think he's planning a celebratory event. So they were planning that and how they're going to work on that and whatever. And so I don't know what people are talking about, but it just didn't happen. And then I saw people posting it. Renwick Christian posted it on Facebook. So I think this is just one of those things that people were allowing their imagination to run wild. Tamara, thank you so much. She's left-handed and I have no issues except my left hand has become my right hand. Your daughter will be just fine. No need to spend that money. She will adjust. Trust me. Thank you so much for that. Jose is also a lefty. Louise says no. Some of the high-profile people in the world is left-handed. Coleman Young is left-handed. 10% of the world is left-handed, shares Al Ray. That means you're extra special then if you're left-handed. Thank you guys so much for sharing that. And yeah, so nothing on the Kenneth story that we can see leads me to believe that that is true at all. Someone joked about the ring and they can say, I can see that 40% pay raise is hard at work and already being spent. Oh my gosh. That is so funny. One other quick note before we wrap up. You know, MPs who did not get rehired, so to speak, by the people. Oh, Clinton is now ambidextrous, he says, because he was forced to use his right hand. People who didn't get rehired, the MPs, they're obviously looking for a job. So we have been told that one of them is supposed to be taking over Rooster talk show from Barry Croppe next week, I guess, would be the first of the month. We have not been able to officially confirm that, so we are waiting on some form of confirmation. But unfortunately, Barry's numbers continue to be really dismal. I don't know who this politician is. It was someone who was not reelected. So my thought process after eliminating a few people is that it's probably Austin Harris. He'd be the logical choice because, you know, he's done it before. So this morning today, she had one person watching her live stream, you can't really get any fewer viewers than one person, to be honest, because then you'd have nobody watching you online. I've never seen Cayman Crosstalk with just one person watching it. So I think that management has made the decision. We heard the reports from last weekend that they had made this decision to get rid of Barry. It just isn't working out. And the rumor mill says that they will be replacing her with someone who did not get reelected. So we'll see who that is. We'll see if it happens on Monday or not. Bonnie shares that her 3 youngest children are all left-handed. Wow, that's quite a record. I wonder if there's a genetic component to being left-handed. I don't know. So we will keep an eye on that situation, just out of interest, really. But I was thinking about politicians who didn't get in and what they're going to be doing. Some of them are actively out there looking for jobs, looking for employment. And the saddest part is they got their 3-month severance, because remember, they pushed that through. Yeah, good on them. But what about their PAs? Because remember now, the day after election, that would be the end of the contract for all of their political assistants. Unfortunately, one political assistant died. That was John John's assistant. Obviously, he got reelected. So had she been alive, she would still have her job. But, you know, Alva Saku, for example, everybody liked Nikki. I think her name was Nikki. But, you know, she was a very likable political assistant or PA for his office. Now she's out of a job after 4 years. That's kind of rough. Because when they went to the single member constituency, they offered them jobs as though they, like, the civil service took them on. So they get full benefits, insurance, whatever. Your contract ended when your MP doesn't get back in. So there would be a number of them. I don't know who. Oh, Ruth Anna. I was just thinking about the opposition leader, and I don't think he had one specific for East End, but he had Ruth Anna working in the opposition office. So poor Ruth Anna, I guess, is looking for employment as well. And who else would there have been? Ezard had Miss Pat Ebanks. She's an elderly lady. So someone said to me, do you think it's fair? Oh, Captain Eugene, did he have anybody? I don't even know if Captain Eugene had anybody. But someone said to me that the 3-month severance pay that they're getting, which could be a substantial amount, that maybe they could give their PAs until they're able to find something and get back on their feet, a little bit of that money, even if it's just $1,000 a month, which I think is fair. Because if you're getting severance pay, you're going to get 3 months salary, right? And you're making $8,000, $9,000 a month. Your PA no longer has a job. They have kids, they have a family. Giving them a little $1,000 out of your severance package every month for the next 3 months, I don't think is asking a lot, to be honest. So I hope that although that's not a legal requirement, I do hope that the MPs do the right thing. So C.E. Banks says, Austin Harris, oh man, do I have a mouthful for him. All those emails, wow, I got my paper trail. That sounds interesting. So we need to get the Black Reef news, Ricky, because we don't know nothing about it. That's news to me. So I'm going to be putting that together this morning to make that some breaking news, I guess. But you guys heard it here first that something's going on. Sherry Ann says, bring Woody back. Well, she didn't say bring Woody back. She said that he did a great job, and the people boycotted the show after he left. I think a lot of people just boycotted not just the show, but all of Crosstalk, and by extension, maybe even the Compass. It's kind of sad, really. Alexei says that he should go back. I don't think that Woody would go back, because when someone does something like that to you, you kind of don't give them, you know what they say when somebody shows you their true colors the first time? Don't give them an opportunity to show you again. So someone says Captain Eugene had Julie Brooks. So she's also likewise unemployed. So Sandra. Oh, someone says, Sandra, I have proof that Stepping Stone's recruitment agency is not for Caymanians. I've applied, interviewed with one of their agents, provided all requested documents, and never even received a call or a referral, even though there are always vacancies that I have experience in on their website. Wow. So they said, when I applied for a role with a different agent, the same person I contacted made contact with me. Send me your email so I can forward the email thread to you, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yep, I will do that. It said they're not nice and against locals. I wish I knew where to complain about them. Unfortunately, nobody really, to be honest. Okay, El Rey. Yes, you know, we invited Woody on from the very onset, but I think Woody was doing family stuff and he was busy, and I think he was in a little bit of a funk as well. So I'll reach out to him again. Listen, we are all about being inclusive here on CMR. If Woody wants his own show on CMR, Woody, let's do it. There is nothing more wonderful in life than sharing what you have with other people. That doesn't take anything away from you. So I love it. And I'll reach out to him again and see if he's interested. The chief officers. Oh, she's still doing real estate. Yes. So she had entered real estate. I think she's still doing that. We'll check in with Ruth Anna and see what she's up to. Okay. Yes, we'll reach out to Woody and see what he's up to. Folks, that's all she wrote. I want you guys to have a beautiful weekend. I've actually got to get to the salon and try and fix a little something here. Big shout out to Rocio. I will see you in a little bit. Everybody have a safe and wonderful weekend. I don't even know what community events are on this weekend, but I'll post some stuff up later on. And that's all she wrote. You guys be safe. No drinking and driving and no speeding, please. Let's go weekend without a traffic accident. Oh, that'd be asking a lot. Or at least a serious traffic accident.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.